Ever find yourself drawn to that sweet treat, even when you know you shouldn't? It's not just willpower, your brain is involved in ways you might not realize. We'll explore how your mind's amazing wiring can make you crave sugar, and more importantly, how to gently guide it towards healthier choices. Think of your brain as a complex, incredible map, constantly learning and adapting. Understanding this map is the first step to navigating your cravings. What if you could use the very science of your brain to overcome that irresistible pull of sugar? We're about to unlock some fascinating secrets about your own inner workings, revealing why those sweet temptations are so powerful and, crucially, offering practical, science-backed strategies to regain control. It's about understanding the incredible plasticity of your brain and how to leverage it for your well-being. Have you ever wondered what makes you, you? That complex tapestry of thoughts, feelings, memories, and decisions all stems from the incredible organ nestled inside your skull, the brain. It's a universe of its own, a bustling metropolis of billions of neurons constantly communicating, shaping our every experience. This journey we're embarking on is about unlocking some of those mysteries, peeling back the layers to understand how our minds work and, in turn, how we can foster a more harmonious connection with ourselves and the world around us. We're going to explore the remarkable capacity our brains have for change, the ability to not just function, but to thrive. The path to reclaiming control over deeply ingrained habits, particularly those surrounding food, is certainly not always linear. There are moments of unexpected difficulty, tiny detours that test resolve. Yet, the burgeoning belief that significant transformation is not just possible, but actively underway, provides a powerful anchor. The previously insistent pull of old patterns is steadily being overshadowed by a growing internal dialogue, one that speaks of reason, self-awareness, and the quiet strength of learned resilience. This is the foundation upon which lasting change is built, a testament to the brain's inherent adaptability. The neurological underpinnings of this shift are fascinating. As we engage in practices that foster self-awareness and rational thought, we are essentially rerouting neural pathways. This isn't metaphorical, it's a tangible rewiring of the brain. The prefrontal cortex, responsible for executive functions like decision-making, impulse control, and goal-directed behavior, becomes increasingly active. Simultaneously, the amygdala, the brain's emotional processing center, particularly its role in fear and threat detection, begins to show reduced reactivity. This dampening of the amygdala's immediate, often disproportionate, response to stimuli is crucial. It allows the more evolved, rational parts of the brain to assert themselves, providing a more measured and deliberate approach to challenges and internal states. This process of neural reorganization is not a passive one, it's an active construction. Each instance of conscious self-reflection, each deliberate choice to engage with a situation rationally rather than reactively, reinforces these new circuits. Think of it like forging a new trail through a dense forest. Initially, the path is difficult to discern, and it's easy to fall back into familiar, overgrown routes. However, with repeated use, the trail becomes wider, clearer, and more accessible. Neurochemically, this reinforcement involves the release of neurotransmitters like dopamine, which is associated with reward and motivation, solidifying these new patterns of thought and behavior. Furthermore, the concept of learned resilience, as mentioned, directly impacts the brain's stress response system, the hypothalamic-pituitary-adrenal (HPA) axis. When we learn to cope with adversity effectively, we train our HPA axis to return to baseline more efficiently after experiencing stress. This means that future stressors, while still present, do not trigger the same level of chronic physiological arousal. This reduced physiological reactivity translates into improved emotional regulation and cognitive function, allowing for sustained focus and a greater capacity to implement desired changes. The brain, in essence, becomes more adept at managing its own internal environment. The interplay between conscious effort and the brain's plasticity is what allows for this fundamental recalibration. It's not about suppressing old patterns through sheer willpower, but rather about cultivating new, more adaptive ones that naturally gain prominence. This is why understanding the biological basis of change is so empowering. It moves us away from a sense of being trapped by our predispositions and towards an understanding of our capacity for profound, self-directed evolution. This journey of transformation is a testament to the brain's remarkable capacity for change, a lifelong process of building and refining our internal architecture. If you found this explanation insightful, please consider liking this content. Subscribing will ensure you don't miss future episodes exploring the intricacies of the mind. Sharing this with someone who might benefit from this understanding is also greatly appreciated. We'd love to hear your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. What aspects of brain adaptability resonate most with you? The intricate dance of neuroplasticity, as observed in the preceding discussion, is not merely a passive response to stimuli but an active, dynamic process fundamentally shaped by the very nature of our internal states. The brain's capacity to reorganize itself, forging new neural pathways and strengthening existing ones, is profoundly influenced by the prevailing emotional and cognitive landscape. When individuals experience chronic stress, for instance, the persistent release of glucocorticoids can lead to detrimental structural changes in areas critical for learning and memory, such as the hippocampus. This neurochemical environment directly hinders the brain's ability to adapt and form new connections, creating a feedback loop where stress impedes the very mechanisms that could help manage it. Conversely, positive emotional states, fostered through mindfulness practices or supportive social interactions, can create a more conducive neurobiological milieu for plasticity. Neurotransmitters like dopamine and serotonin, often associated with reward and well-being, play a crucial role in modulating synaptic strength and encouraging the formation of novel neural circuits. This underscores the bidirectional relationship. Our experiences shape our brain, and our brain's current state influences how it processes future experiences and, consequently, its capacity for adaptation. This concept aligns with findings in effective neuroscience, which demonstrate how sustained emotional states can have tangible, lasting effects on brain architecture. The role of attention is paramount in directing this adaptive process. What we choose to focus on, both internally and externally, acts as a powerful selector, signaling to the brain which neural pathways are relevant and should be reinforced. This selective attention is not a fixed attribute but a skill that can be trained. Through deliberate practice, individuals can enhance their ability to direct their cognitive resources towards desired stimuli or internal states, thereby shaping their neural landscape. This is a core principle explored in cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, where therapists guide individuals to identify and modify maladaptive thought patterns, effectively retraining neural circuits associated with these patterns. The philosophical underpinnings of this phenomenon can be traced back to thinkers who emphasize the active role of the mind in constructing reality. Immanuel Kant, for example, argued that our perception of the world is not a direct reception of objective reality but is filtered and organized by innate mental structures. While Kant predated neuroscience, his ideas resonate with modern understandings of how neural processes, shaped by experience and attention, actively construct our subjective experience. The brain, in this context, is not a passive recipient of information but an active interpreter and architect of its own reality. Furthermore, the concept of neuroplasticity challenges a rigid, deterministic view of the brain. It suggests that our genetic predispositions, while influential, do not preordain our cognitive or emotional destiny. Instead, the ongoing interplay between our biological substrate and our environment, mediated by our thoughts, emotions, and actions, continuously sculpts our neural networks. This ongoing development implies a significant degree of agency in shaping our own minds and, by extension, our behavior and well-being. The work of neuroscientist Michael Merzenich has extensively documented how experiences, particularly during critical periods but also throughout life, can lead to profound and enduring changes in brain organization. The ongoing neuroplasticity research, building directly upon Merzenich's foundational work, delves into the intricate mechanisms by which experience sculpts neural circuitry. It's not simply a matter of neurons being rewired, rather, it involves a dynamic interplay of synaptic potentiation and depression, neurogenesis in specific brain regions, and even the modulation of glial cell function. This granular understanding reveals that learning and memory are not static storage processes but rather continuous refinements of neural pathways. For instance, the acquisition of a new skill, such as playing a musical instrument, doesn't just create new connections, it actively strengthens frequently used pathways, prunes less efficient ones, and reorganizes sensory and motor cortical maps. This remapping is quantifiable, with studies demonstrating changes in the size and connectivity of brain regions corresponding to the practiced skills. Furthermore, the concept of critical periods is being reevaluated. While these windows of heightened plasticity are undeniably important for initial sensory and motor development, research indicates that significant plasticity persists throughout the lifespan, albeit with differing dynamics. This lifelong plasticity is often termed adult neuroplasticity and is crucial for adaptation, recovery from injury, and cognitive flexibility. The mechanisms underpinning adult neuroplasticity include activity-dependent synaptic plasticity, such as long-term potentiation, LTP, and long-term depression, LTD, which alter the strength of neuronal communication based on patterns of neural firing. Beyond synaptic changes, adult neurogenesis, the birth of new neurons primarily in the hippocampus, contributes to learning and memory, particularly in tasks requiring spatial navigation and contextual learning. The regulation of these processes is complex, involving a symphony of neurotransmitters, growth factors, and epigenetic modifications. The implications of this persistent plasticity for cognitive function and behavioral adaptation are profound. It suggests that our brains are not fixed entities but rather continuously evolving systems. This perspective shifts the focus from passive reception of stimuli to an active co-creation of our neural landscape through engagement and intentional practice. For example, engaging in mentally challenging activities has been shown to enhance cognitive reserve, potentially delaying the onset or mitigating the severity of age-related cognitive decline. This reserve is thought to be a consequence of enriched neural networks and enhanced functional connectivity, fostered by sustained cognitive engagement. The brain's ability to reorganize itself in response to environmental demands or deliberate training underscores the potential for targeted interventions to promote cognitive enhancement and rehabilitation. The ongoing exploration also investigates the role of attention and intention in modulating neuroplasticity. It is becoming increasingly clear that simply being exposed to experiences is not sufficient. The way we attend to and process these experiences plays a critical role in shaping neural outcomes. Focused attention can amplify the effects of experience on neural circuits, leading to more robust and lasting changes. Conversely, a lack of attention can result in less pronounced or even negligible neuroplastic adaptations. This highlights the subjective element in brain development and learning. The brain, in essence, prioritizes and strengthens the neural pathways that are most relevant to our conscious awareness and our goals, providing a neurobiological basis for the efficacy of mindfulness practices and deliberate learning strategies. The researchers meticulously analyzed the data from their controlled experiments, observing how the group receiving the enriched cognitive stimulation showed significantly greater neural pathway refinement compared to the control group. This quantitative evidence directly supported their hypothesis that targeted mental engagement actively reshapes neural architecture. They documented the precise patterns of synaptic strengthening and weakening, noting that the brain's response was not uniform across all neural networks but was instead concentrated in areas corresponding to the specific cognitive tasks practiced. Next, the study delved into the implications of these findings for different age groups. Early childhood, the researchers concluded, represented a period of exceptional plasticity where neural pathways were highly malleable and readily formed in response to environmental input. However, they also demonstrated that significant neuroplastic changes were achievable throughout adolescence and even into adulthood, albeit at a potentially slower rate. This dispelled the notion that the brain's capacity for adaptation diminishes to a critical point after a certain age, emphasizing that continued cognitive effort remains a potent driver of neural development. The team then began to formulate practical applications for their research. One immediate area of focus was educational methodologies. By understanding how focused attention and consistent practice facilitate neuroplasticity, educators could design curricula that strategically incorporate elements promoting sustained engagement and deliberate skill acquisition. This involved moving beyond rote memorization towards activities that challenged students and required active problem-solving, thereby encouraging the formation of more robust and interconnected neural networks. Furthermore, the research offered insights into therapeutic interventions for individuals experiencing cognitive deficits due to injury or neurological conditions. The identified mechanisms of neuroplasticity provided a roadmap for designing rehabilitation programs that could guide the brain in rerouting functions and rebuilding neural connections. This involved tailoring cognitive exercises to stimulate specific brain regions and encouraging the brain's inherent ability to compensate for damage by strengthening alternative pathways. The final phase of the research involved extrapolating these principles to everyday life. The researchers emphasized that simple daily habits, such as learning a new language, playing a musical instrument, or engaging in strategic games, could contribute to ongoing brain health and cognitive vitality. They stressed that the key was consistent, purposeful mental activity, rather than passive consumption of information. This reinforced the idea that individuals possess a degree of control over their own brain development through their choices and behaviors. Ultimately, the overarching conclusion of the study was that the brain is a dynamic and adaptable organ, capable of significant change throughout an individual's lifespan. This plasticity is not a passive phenomenon but is actively influenced by experience, attention, and deliberate practice. The research provided a robust, evidence-based framework for understanding how to harness this adaptability for enhanced learning, cognitive rehabilitation, and sustained brain health, underlining the principle that mental engagement is a fundamental driver of neural evolution. We've journeyed through the remarkable adaptability of the brain, uncovering how experiences, focused attention, and dedicated practice actively sculpt neural pathways. This isn't simply about learning new skills, it's about the very architecture of our minds evolving in response to our engagement with the world. The scientific understanding we've explored provides a powerful framework, demonstrating that by consciously directing our mental efforts, we can foster profound improvements in learning, aid in cognitive recovery, and cultivate long-term brain vitality. The core takeaway is undeniable: active mental participation is the indispensable engine driving our cognitive development and resilience. As we conclude this exploration, remember that this capacity for change is within your reach every single day. The principles discussed are not abstract concepts but actionable insights that empower you to take charge of your own cognitive journey. If you found this information valuable and engaging, please consider giving this video a thumbs up. Subscribing to the channel ensures you won't miss future explorations into the fascinating world of the mind. Sharing this content with others who might benefit from it is also greatly appreciated. And, most importantly, let us know in the comments below what you think of these ideas and how you plan to apply them. Until next time.